Well, people know me as a guitar player, but I'm a songwriter and an entertainer who plays the guitar. So I've been crazy about songwriting ever since I was very young. I wrote my first song when I was 10. I don't remember it. My sister does. But uh, I was always listening to singers and songwriters, you know. I could tell the difference between a good song and a bad song when I was a kid. That's why I filtered out all the bad stuff early on, you know, and tried to learn as much as I could from all the good music, you know. And I think all that stuff of listening to good songs and it becomes ingrained in you. And so when I was in my teens, I started to hang out with songwriters who were having hit records, who were you know, successful writers. So I was well out of my league, but I worked with them and I hung around them and I listened to every word they said, and I tried to learn as much as I could as a songwriter. And then I started writing songs with words, and I wasn't very good at words. What I found out pretty quickly was that I could construct a song and I could write a melody that worked, but I was no good with lyrics. So I started writing songs with lyricists, where I would turn up with a song mapped out in music, and then they would write a lyric to it. But the songs that I play in my shows and that I record on my albums, I try to think like I'm a singer in a band, right? So I never ever think I'm just going to write a song for me to play on the guitar. I never ever think that. I always want to think like a band, and that I want to hear this music come out the radio. That's how I think. My songwriting, my melodies and that are a little different from other guitar players because they're not designed to impress other musicians. I'm just trying to write the best song I can. And if musicians like it, great. As long as the people who hear the song like it, that's what matters to me. As far as ideas for songs, a songwriter waits patiently for inspiration to happen. And it could come from anywhere. It could come from somewhere where you are. If you're, you know, I've written songs when I've been at an airport or in an unusual country like Africa or Russia or places like that. You get ideas, you get feelings sometimes. A lot of times I'll read a story about somebody and it'll inspire me. And, you know, like there's a song of mine called Little by Little, Haba na Haba. And I wrote that song specifically trying to write something that sounded like it came from Tanzania. Luckily for me, I'd been to Tanzania, so I heard Tanzania music. The first thing I did when I tried to write this song is tried not to be too clever. Because I discovered pretty early on that there are two songwriters in me. There's one up here who's very intellectual, who wants to be clever, right? That's his desire. But there's one down here that always wins, that must be satisfied. So the song starts out here and ends up here. And that's how all my songs get written. So I get the ideas flowing. When I wrote the song, I tried to think like I was a person from that part of the world, and that they would not know how to be too clever on the instrument. They would be wanting to sing a song or play a song that was repetitive, that had a hypnotic effect, that had a melodic sense to it, that anybody could sing it, little kids or old people or anybody in between. So that's kind of how I try to think when I'm writing. I try not to get too clever. Usually the real clever people are the ones who are great with words, you know. But there's a gift in songwriting that you've got to learn to get to the point say what it is that you want to say, paint the picture, tell the story, whatever it is, and get out of there. Don't go hanging around too long. That's right. Sometimes when students of mine say, "Oh, I've written this song, and can I play it for you? Tell me what you think," and all that. Okay, and usually all of them do the same kind of thing. They spend all this time with an introduction, and I'm after a while I'm saying, "Well, tell me something. Don't just leave me hanging here. Tell me something. Get to the point." So there's a few songs I've written where I come straight in on the melody because I can't wait to hear it. I don't need, this song doesn't need an introduction. Some songs that I've written, I always record what I'm writing. I'll record it. Sometimes I just record it on my iPhone. You don't need sophisticated recording equipment when you're writing. You need the most basic thing that you can jump on and go, record, play, now listen. Okay, it needs this, it needs that, or whatever. Now fix that. Now record it again. Now have another listen. That kind of thing. You need to have both perspectives. You need to be in the writing seat, but you need to be in the listening seat as well. Some songs you'll write and you'll think they're all done, and so you're all finished, and then you'll hear it back, and all your instincts will say it needs a bridge. It's all working great, but it really needs a bridge, So, and we all have those kind of instincts, and they all come from listening to good songs. The people I listen to for songwriting are not necessarily all guitar players. It's mostly singers and songwriters. I guess some of my earliest influences would have to be Jimmy Rogers, Hank Williams, and then later on, songwriting-wise, Merle Haggard was one of my great influences, although I can't write like him. Then came Gordon Lightfoot, and then Neil Diamond, James Taylor, Carole King, some of my favourite songwriters. And I like what Lieber and Stoller did with all the Elvis tunes and stuff like that. Stevie Wonder was a big influence on me. Billy Joel, Elton John, and of course Eric Clapton. I always tell people I'm not interested in trying to impress a few people who read Acoustic Guitar Magazine. I'm interested in changing the world. And how do you do that? Well, you learn from people who do that. People whose music moves the world. They're the ones I want to learn from.